Hi there, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. Going to talk some kind of housekeeping, i.e. logistics things. Let me get one of these doors closed here in just a sec. All righty. We'll close this off up here. And we're going to go down to, we are at week 11, okay? As I'd said, well, we're past that. We're at week 425. Now, there's no class, but this is flex time, as I mentioned, for all of you to work on assignments. Now, what I'm going to do is go through how flex time and the finals, how that works in my class. If you've had me before, you'll know what I'm going to be talking about, okay? Now, this week you've got flex time to work on the following assignment. Oh, pardon me. The last week, time to work on those assignments. So I'll just go through them. The check your understanding. Then if you decided rather than doing the check your understanding, you could do the alternative assignment, and that was downloading Oracle. So you can choose this one or this one. Then the SAS Visual Analytics. Go over there to Teradata University Network. Log in and follow the instructions. Once you get to the software and you get to the Data Explorer, then go from there. You had the assignments also, the Chapter 5 from the Sharda text, and then an assignment from Chapter 7, and an assignment from Chapter number 8. So that was all due back in Module 11. So you have your instructions for the work that's going to be coming up in 2 weeks. Now, we're right here today, okay, at week 12. Then on week 13, okay, which would be Thursday the 2nd. You can also work on you also have an opportunity for some extra credit there. So some extra credit. And these are from a publication, What's Your Data Strategy? And I give you some instructions. You can develop a short self-developed quiz. Okay. And those instructions there are pretty explicit. So we'll go back to the modules. And week 14, well, check your data strategy, the extra credit, it's due on week 13. So you'll have that, but that's all. Week 12, next week, well, this week, time to work on projects and the finals. And then this is where you could do the STQ, which is for next week, which would be due on the 2nd, okay? Now, then you've got week 14, which is Thursday the 9th. There's no class, but you have the flex time to work on the projects and final. You said, what will you ask me, Dr. Harmon, what are you going to be doing? Well, my intention was to come in tonight and just kind of run you through what's up ahead of you and why I've got things put together like I do, the flex time, and then be here and be available if somebody had some questions, okay? So I also wanted to take some time tonight to talk about the final exams. Now you'll notice here I give you week 15, another free week, so you can work on your finals. Let's talk about that. The schedule for this class the final, I'll just show you here. It'll be Thursday, May the 16th from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Now, some of the assignments that I have for you are due at the start of the final exam period. Then I have other assignments that are due at the end. Typically, what I do is for the 2 hours, I have quizzes for you. If you try to do the final exam, all of it in 2 hours, it's not going to happen. So I have it structured so that you have that part that's due at the start of the final exam period, usually hands-on kinds of things. And then at the end of the final exam period, you have the quiz. And I'll just walk you down and show you here. Okay. And so you have part A and part B on the finals. And part B is due at the start of the final exam period. Then you have a final exam part B. This is also due at the start of the final exam period. Let me walk through this and make sure that we're all on top of what's going to get. And listen, I have a screencast of instructions for the final parts A and B. So let's look at this. Okay. Part A is a take-home portion of the final exam. You're going to develop a database that provides solved questions for chapter 1 through 20 in the Patrick text, the one we've been doing the code. And at the end of each chapter, there's a thing called key points. And you're going to draw your questions from that. So if you look in the Patrick textbook, you'll see at the end of each chapter a thing called key points. That's where you get your questions. Your database should have at least five key points per chapter. So your database needs to have 5 questions. These are true, false, okay? And it needs to consist of a table with the following attributes or fields. The item number, the item, that is the question, the chapter from which the item is drawn, the page from which the item is drawn, and the correct answer. Okay? And this is due at the start of the final exam period. So I'm going to have you build a table based on questions drawn from the Patrick text. Okay? Now, if you're smart, you will create an empty table and then create a form. You don't have to do that. And create a form to generate the items for your table. It might be just easier. Okay? On the other hand, you may want to just sit there and type stuff into the table. I don't know. Another alternative would be for you to get Excel, create the table in Excel, and then import it into a database. Okay? I don't care. As long as you have the fields that you're supposed to have and as long as you have it in a database. So that's final exam part A. Let's scroll on down. We'll move on over to part B. Okay, and here's where to upload part A, excuse me. And it's due May the 16th at 6 p.m. Here's part B. Okay? Now, I had you create a database back in part A. Here in part B, and this is due at the start of the final exam period, I'm going to have you run a series of queries. Has a ring to it, doesn't it? a series of queries. I'm going to have you run queries. I've got those numbered there, and you're going to start with a select, and then you'll move into some that have conditional statements in them. They'll get a little bit more complex as you move along. So you'll create the database, then you'll create the queries, and you'll run the queries. I will accept a print screen as long as you show me the code or the design view and the output. I've got to see and know you did the work. I really prefer just the code and then the output. Okay? But you can do sometimes, if it calls for it, you can just show me just have the design view for the query. But I've got to see a result set, and I've got to know, based on what I see from some SQL or from a design view, that you did the work. And they say, why can't I just upload the database to you? You certainly may do so. That's the best way to do it. And have the for each task or query, we have just like task 4. Okay, that's task 4, create and run a query that uses a less than condition and the where clause. I give you some pages to refer to. That's the final exam, part 1, parts 1A and 1B for all intents and purposes. And it's due at the start of the final exam period. So there's nothing here we haven't done. In fact, I ask you to use particular types of queries to generate some result sets. Now, this is the final exam, part B, where you upload it. And then we start with the quizzes from the Sharda text, the business intelligence text. And it's 10 points, it's 10 items, and you got 20 minutes, okay? Remember, final exam period is 2 hours, 120 minutes. Now, if you take the final exam off campus and something happens, that's your problem. If you're in here on the system, that's a different matter. And frankly, if I were you, I would go in and I'd knock out these quizzes and get them done and then go back and work on the project. But that's just me, okay? Here's the final exam, part D. It's over chapter 2 from the Sharda text, the business intelligence. And you kind of see, you get my drift here. There's part E. And then you flip off, you've got part F, a part G, and a part H. Okay? And that's it. So you have those quizzes that are due at the end of the final exam period. Then you have the hands-on kinds of things are due at the start of the final exam period. I'm trying to be very deliberate in how and what I say it. So you can refer back to this, because once I'm through here, explaining this, going over it a little bit, I'll open up for some Q&A. But if you don't have any questions, I'll just simply take my machine back over to the office and I'll stay there till about 7:30 and then close it off. Okay? So this would be a good time. Now, I'll get you a schedule out of what's going on with me. Now, I sent out a lengthy announcement. Yes, I posted a lengthy announcement yesterday, and I sent everybody an email. Okay? I want to talk about it. If you don't have a Windows machine, you're going to need to come in here to the lab, one of the labs at school, in order to have Microsoft access. You're just going to have to. Office for Mac does not have access on it, and you're going to need to have it to do working access. So you'll need to be over here in the lab, or the lab at the library, or with someone you know that might have a laptop that's Windows based and has access. Then you're good. Okay. The second thing I always have to make sure that everybody understands is this. At 8 p.m. on May the 16th, the course ends. I will not post any additional work. I don't receive any additional work. I did it. I did it a couple of times, letting people submit stuff after the end of the course, and I got my hands slapped pretty hard. So I said, I won't do that again. Okay. So once the course is over, it's over. So if you uploaded the wrong file or you did this or that, all I can say is be very, very careful about what you're doing so that don't put yourself in that dilemma, because it's a problem I can't fix. I cannot accept any work past the end of the course. Okay? I'm not saying this to be a curmudgeon or get on anybody's case. I'm just telling you how it is so that you understand that if you should mess up something. So what I'm saying to you is you've got 3 hours a night, and today is the 25th. Okay, so there really isn't any class. So unless you have a question, I'm going to go back and kind of be in a Q&A mode where somebody has something they want to ask me. I don't have anybody over here in the lab, didn't expect to, but I got a few of you online. So I'm going to stop now and see if I can answer a question for you. Is there anybody I could answer a question for? Everybody's good. Okay. And next week, I'll be here over in the office online if you should happen to have a question. And I'll stay till about 7:30 or so, like we have been throughout the semester. So does anybody have a question? Okay. I've had a nonstop day, so I haven't had a chance to, I haven't had an opportunity to look at emails, so I'll probably have to do that tonight. Okay. So you should be working on the check your understandings. If you chose to do the Oracle, you should be working on that. The SAS Visual Analytics project. They're all due on the 9th. There's no class last week. There's no class this week. Same story. If you want to do the extra credit, there it is. It's due May the 3rd, which is next Friday. And then check your understandings. If you want to, if you did the extra credit, and yeah, this up here is what's your data strategy. Here's the extra credit for doing the additional CYUs. Check your understandings. Or if you choose to do the Oracle, that's okay. And then here is SAS, the SAS project from Teradata University. And then we move into the finals. All of the assignments, okay, that are due at the start of the final exam period, I'm basically going to have you create a database, okay, then populate it, and then begin to run queries. Okay. And this is from, you're going to get this from the Patrick text. And I give you the fields, the item number, the item, which is the question, the chapter from which the item is drawn, the page from which the item is drawn, and the correct answer. Then a place to upload it. Then part B, you'll take that database that you put together and you'll run queries following these instructions. Now you'll notice again, as I mentioned, I have some pages in here that refer you or where you can find some examples. But I'm very specific about what I want. And there are 20 queries that you'll generate. And I got a spot for you to upload that. Then we get into the quizzes that are due at the end of the final exam period. Okay. What I'm going to do is go back over to my office. I don't have anybody here at the lab, which is okay. And if someone should have a question, they can pop into the meeting. I'll run this. I'll go till 7:30 and then I'll shut it off. Okay. Let me see what I've got here today. I've got AJ, Jonathan, and Alejandro. Good. Any questions, gentlemen? Okie doke. It will probably take me, 45 minutes or so. I'll have this posted, this little blurb and some directions in terms of what you're doing in the flex time and the final time, flex finals period, and post it, okay? If you want to talk to me or have a question, it's simple. You do that, and I get a chime, and I see an orange blinker, and I respond to your question. All right, folks. I'll be over at my office. Now, here in a minute for the four of you who are there, and I'm going to pause the share because I have a little bit of work I'm going to do while I'm waiting on any of you who may have questions, others who might wander into the building and find my office. So when I pause the share, it's going to stop. Don't worry about that. Before I leave, I will come back and I'll open it back up so I can finish the recording. And again, if you have a question, you can email me or you can hail me on here, and I'll get the question. We'll go from there. I'm still here checking to see if any of you have any questions. Still here. Apparently you are working diligently. I'll be here till about 7:30 or so. Okay, it looks like I won't have any more people come, so I'm going to stop the share and then end this video, and I will be here. I'll check my email. Okay, folks, thank you much.